welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to understanding some really intricate and sometimes pretty explosive source material.
Absolutely. And today you're joining us for something that definitely sits at a unique crossroads.
Yeah, we're looking at religious text, very specific ideas about race and cosmology and, well, global conspiracy theories all rolled into one.
We're diving deep into material focused on Leviathan 666, the beast as the Antichrist.
Our mission here is to basically map out the core claims. It's about spiritual deception, hidden history.
And it's all framed by this pursuit of what the source calls right knowledge, right wisdom, and the right overstanding, a science they call nuabu.
Okay, so first things first. Leviathan. We're not just talking about some big sea creature from mythology here, are we?
No, not really. It's way more than that in this context. It's presented as, well, a whole spiritual and political entity. The name, yeah, it comes from the Hebrew Leviathan, and it's similar to the Arabic liatu, meaning snake. But it escalates quickly. Leviathan is defined as the number of a man, 666, from Revelation 13. But, and this is crucial, the source insists this is a master teacher, someone alive, active right now.
A living Antichrist figure.
Essentially, yes, operating as a whole system of control. That's the core premise. The beast is the Antichrist system.
Right. That immediately puts us on a massive timeline, a cosmic clock almost. What's the time scale for this system?
Yeah, the source lays out a very specific 6,000-year cycle. The claim is this evil hypnotic spell was cast on what they call the original Negroid seed.
And when did this start?
They pinpoint it quite precisely. It supposedly began around 6,004 years ago with the birth of Canaan, around 4004 BC.
4004 BC. Wow, that's incredibly specific. So this rule of the devil, they call it the moon cycle.
That's right, the moon cycle, set for exactly 6,000 years, which means, according to their timeline, it should have ended very recently.
When exactly?
Either around September 9th, 1999 AD, or depending on the calendar reckoning, maybe 2003 AD Gregorian.
Okay. And the spell itself, what is it? Is it like magic?
It's described more as a state of being, spiritual ignorance, basically, and widespread racial blindness. It's said to emanate from the atmosphere itself.
From the atmosphere?
Yeah. And they make this really striking linguistic jump. They call this atmospheric deception the ghost spell.
Ghost spell.
Which they claim is the actual origin of the word gospel.
Okay, wow. So if this spell has been running for 6 millennia, who's behind it? Who are the architects?
The sources name two main groups. First, the Luciferians.
Okay, who are they?
Described as highly advanced beings, not from Earth, originally called Yahwehs, apparently. They interfered here, passed themselves off as gods.
And the second group?
The Reptilians, identified as the serpent seed. This seems to be the primary adversary group in this narrative.
Serpent seed. And they have leaders.
Yes, the elite are called the Draconis, said to originate from the Draco star constellation.
Draco. Okay. So we have these, well, non-human entities. How did they manage to get such control over humanity? Does the source explain that connection?
It does, and it gets into biology. The claim is they literally mix their genes with ours.
Mixed genes? You mean like genetically engineered humans?
Essentially, yes. The source argues Homo sapien, that's us, are genetically composite, a mix of reptilian and mammalian genes.
And they offer proof for this inside our own bodies.
They point to a couple of things, yeah. Physical evidence, they call it.
Such as?
Okay, first, the coccyx, the tailbone. They argue it's not just some evolutionary leftover from development.
But an actual remnant of a tail?
Exactly. Proof of a reptilian biological link, they say. Second, they point to eczema.
The skin condition. Eczema. How does that fit in?
They claim the symptoms, dry, scaly skin, are a direct physical result of mixing human and reptilian genes. It's an attempt to ground this huge cosmic story in, something physical people experience.
Wow. Okay, so the deception isn't just spiritual or political. It's literally written into our biology, according to this view.
That's the claim, and it connects directly to a very stark racial cosmology they lay out, two distinct human lines, or seeds.
Let's start with the one they call the cursed seed. Who is that?
This is where it gets extremely specific and controversial. The cursed seed is identified as Caucasoids, also called Canaanites.
Canaanites.
Or sometimes, quite provocatively, deteriorating Asians. They're labeled the beast of the field.
And the justification for this? Where does that come from?
It's based on their interpretation of the biblical curse on Canaan. They interpret this curse as albinism or leprosy, making them white as snow, citing a passage from Numbers.
And the consequence of this curse, in their view?
It's framed as biological vulnerability. The lack of melanin and also iodine or salt makes their survival difficult. They argue it makes them dependent on mixing with Negroid people for long-term survival. It creates a kind of biological necessity for mixing.
Okay, this leads us to one of the stranger points in the source material I read. The origin of the pig, the khinzir.
Yeah.
Why is the pig so important here?
Right, the pig. According to the source, it wasn't a naturally evolved animal.
Not natural. So what was it?
It was supposedly an artificial creation, engineered by ancient figures named Zoser and Imhotep.
Engineered. For what purpose?
Its specific job was to be a scavenger, created to clean up after the leprous Canaanites who were living, supposedly, in the Caucasus Mountains.
A bioengineered cleanup crew. That's something else. Do they say what it's made from?
They do. It's described as a combination of 3 animals. The dog, because it's seen as dumb and eats anything. The rat, immune to filth, also eats anything. And the cat, seen as clean, maybe having some wisdom.
So traits combined specifically for consuming waste and surviving in filth.
That's the idea presented, engineered for that specific, unpleasant task.
Okay, so in stark contrast to this cursed seed and its, well, its pig custodian, who is the holy seed in this cosmology.
The Negroids are presented as the pure holy seed. The natural heirs to the kingdom is how it's put.
And this is linked to religious figures.
Yes, strongly. The claim is that Yahshua Jesus was himself Negroid, described as having kingly hair and burnt brass skin, referencing scripture. It sets up a very clear lineage, directly opposing the other group.
Right, so we have this ancient spell, these biological and racial narratives.
Yeah.
How does this translate into our modern world? The political system. Let's talk about the architecture of global control, the New World Order.
Exactly. We're shifting from ancient curses now to, well, modern bureaucracy and secret governments.
What's the claim there?
The sources state there's a shadow government, a secret underground group called COG.
COG.
Continuity of government. And this group is actively planning a godless one world order.
And what supposedly kicked these plans into high gear? Was there a trigger event?
The texts are very clear on this.
Yeah.
They claim the planning was necessitated by the prophesied attack on September 11th, 2001.
So 9/11 was foreseen and used.
Used as the pretext, yes, to activate these huge secret governance plans. Plans they claim most lawmakers didn't even know existed.
And this is where it gets really concrete, because they don't just say secret government. They cite actual government documents as proof.
Right.
Specific executive orders.
Exactly. That's presented as the smoking gun. These EOs are laid out as the direct blueprint for taking over essential civilian functions.
Which one specifically?
Okay, they list Executive Order 19995 for seizing control of all communication media, then HUN 9997 taking over electric power, petroleum, gas, minerals, all fuel sources,
Okay.
then HUN 998, a complete takeover of food resources and farms, and maybe the most startling, Executive Order 11,000.
What's that one?
Mobilization of all civilians into government-controlled work brigades.
Wow. That's a blueprint for total control of resources and labor. It suggests the planning wasn't just political, but logistical, deeply planned.
Meticulous resource-level planning, yes.
Yeah.
And beyond just legal documents, the sources interpret the very landscape, especially in the U.S., as being full of symbols of this empire.
How so? Give me an example.
Well, the Statue of Liberty, for instance, gifted by the French, right? It's identified here as representing the harlot from the Book of Revelation.
Okay. And the Twin Towers before they fell.
They held huge symbolic weight, too, apparently named Abaddon and Apollyon, both meaning destroyer. And they symbolize Sodom and Gomorrah, or even Nimrod's Tower of Babylon. The physical world is seen as constantly reinforcing the beast's control.
So the political and physical structures are seen as part of the system. What about keeping people mentally enslaved? Maintaining that spiritual ignorance, the spell. Media must be key.
Oh, absolutely primary. Media, especially television, gets broken down. Tell lies visually. That's how they see it.
And the core deception is?
The illusion of choice. People think they're free because they have multiple choices, which brand, which school, which candidate. But the source argues these choices are always presented within the system's controlled boundaries. No real choice, no true freedom.
And this extends even to sound.
Yeah.
Music. This part was fascinatingly specific.
Yeah, this is where they claim sound itself is weaponized. It's like a literal physics of spiritual deception.
How did that work?
The argument is that music was intentionally altered, shifted from its original, maybe more natural sound to vibrate at a specific frequency, the note A in the 5th octave.
Why that specific note and octave?
Because, they claim, that's the frequency where negative beings, or evil spirits, vibrate.
Yeah.
And the structure of modern music, particularly redundant beats, is said to create a spellbound trance. It literally opens the body, they say, to possession by these spirits, which travel on that specific sound wave, A.
Wait, hang on. Possession via sound waves. That's intense. Does this connect back to mythology?
Yes, it does. They link the devil, or Pan, historically associated with music, mentioning the story of King Midas and the musical contest. Control the frequency, control the rhythm, control the spirit.
So even modern music styles.
Are claimed not to be organic developments. Things like breakdancing, rap, gangster rap, these are presented as consciously planned, manufactured tools by the evil one.
Wow. Okay, so beyond media and music, perhaps the most, well, insidious form of control, according to these sources, would be religion itself, religious revisionism.
Absolutely. Mainstream religion is viewed as a primary tool for enforcing the spell.
Like the concept of the Trinity.
Declared mathematically impossible, according to the source. And a direct fabrication of the devil, basically borrowing from older figures like the Egyptian triad, Osiris, Isis, and Horus.
And they pinpoint a specific biblical figure as being central to this corruption, the Antichrist figure within the text.
Yes. The Apostle Paul, or Saul, Shol, as they sometimes use his Hebrew name. He's identified as the Antichrist figure who deliberately spread lies.
Lies like.
Creating a false image of Christ, specifically a pale image, making Christianity more universally palatable, they argue.
And this pale image is traced back.
Traced back through figures like Michelangelo's Christ, but ultimately derived from pagan gods like Zeus or Jace's, Gas's Jesus. They play with the name origins.
Even the King James Bible itself is implicated, tied to 666.
Yeah.
It seems like a stretch. How do they make that connection?
It's intricate. It involves several claims woven together. First, they assert the author wasn't King James's committee, but William Tinsdale, who they also claim is Shakespeare.
Tinsdale is Shakespeare.
Okay. Second, they focus on the number of copies Tinsdale supposedly printed. 6,000. Keep the 6.
No, 6.
Third, the number of books in the King James Bible. 66.
Right.
So you take the 6 from the 6,000 copies, the 60 implied in the copies, and the 6 from the number of books.
I started.
6 to same 6, embedded in its very creation and distribution, they claim.
That is a staggering level of interconnected claims. Biology, government orders, music octaves, Shakespeare, Bible publication numbers, all part of one system.
It's incredibly elaborate, yes. A unified theory of spiritual control.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the way out? What's the path to freedom, according to these sources?
The cure for the whole system, they call it the spell of Kingu, is fundamentally about seeking and living the truth.
Which means
Achieving right knowledge, right wisdom, and right overstanding. That Nuwabu science we mentioned.
and achieving this truth has a specific outcome.
Yes. It's necessary, they claim, to get back 4 higher senses that humans supposedly lost.
Higher senses. Which ones are those?
Clairvoyance, intuition, telepathy, and psychometry.
And how are they lost?
They attribute it to the removal or suppression of something called the barathyry gland, a specific gland mentioned in their texts. Recovering these senses is the sign you're breaking free.
Okay, so the devil's 6,000-year rule might be technically up by their clock, but the source warns the deception isn't over. What's the final trap?
The biggest deception now, they argue, is convincing the world the devil doesn't even exist, that there is no grand conspiracy.
So even if you reject the obvious systems,
You're still caught. You might reject religion or politics, but you're still trapped by the illusion of choice within the system. You have to buy the car he provides, shop in the malls he built, take the classes he approved. You're just choosing your cage.
okay, so if we pull back and look at everything, the secret governments, the gene mixing, the spiritual warfare, what does this imply about the people or entities supposedly running this whole show? What's the ultimate scale here?
It implies they operate with an awareness and maybe an agenda that's far beyond simple greed or political power.
How so?
Well, the source points to things like government actions ordering the destruction of the rainforest, and they directly link that act to initiating the third plague, the Ebola virus.
So they're saying the controllers are consciously causing disasters.
Yes, actively working to bring about prophesied calamities. Treating the planet, treating us like pieces in a much larger, darker game. A scientifically planned endgame, even. It suggests the scale is almost unimaginable.